In the early hours of August 11, 2025, Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport, America's northern gateway and a global cargo hub, fell eerily silent. The usual hum of jet engines, the distant rumble of cargo trucks, and the steady rhythm of arriving and departing flights all vanished, replaced by a stillness that felt unnatural for a place so vital to the world's logistics. The sun barely crested the horizon, casting a pale glow over the snow-dusted tarmac, as if nature itself was holding its breath. The shutdown was total, not a delay, and its shockwaves hit national security and commerce instantly. Every system, from air traffic control to baggage handling, ground to a halt. The airport's closure was not just a local inconvenience, it was a seismic event with global consequences. Aircraft engines stilled and a cascade of alerts reached Washington, D.C. and beyond. Airline operations centers scrambled to respond, while logistics companies braced for impact. The world's busiest cargo crossroads had gone dark, and the implications were immediate. Was it nature, a technical collapse, or something more sinister? The silence on Alaska's tarmac was a warning. In a region where weather can change in an instant and technology is pushed to its limits, uncertainty breeds fear. The absence of answers only deepened the sense of unease. Airports like Anchorage are vital. When one stops, the world feels it. Supply chains break, military readiness falters, and the ripple effects can be felt in grocery stores, factories, and military bases thousands of miles away. Anchorage is a linchpin in the global movement of goods, people, and information. And when Anchorage halts, global air travel stumbles. Flights are delayed or canceled, passengers stranded, and critical cargo rerouted. The world's interconnectedness becomes painfully clear in moments like these. This was more than inconvenience. It was a real-time test of America's crisis response. Emergency protocols were activated, and the eyes of the nation turned to Alaska, waiting for answers and solutions. Initial reports were scarce, fueling anxiety as cargo flights rerouted. News outlets speculated, social media buzzed with rumors, and families worried about loved ones in transit. The uncertainty was as paralyzing as the shutdown itself. Passenger jets diverted to smaller, ill-equipped airfields, overwhelming local resources and stranding travelers in remote locations. The logistical challenges mounted by the hour, as crews and passengers alike faced the unknown. Military assets at nearby Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson went on high alert. The base, critical to America's northern defense, prepared for any contingency, from natural disaster to hostile action. The FAA and Homeland Security scrambled emergency teams. Coordination centers buzzed with activity as experts from across the country converged to assess the threat and restore operations. The core question: what could instantly paralyze one of the world's most strategic airports? Was it a cyber attack, a catastrophic systems failure, or something no one had yet imagined? This investigation will uncover the airport's strategic role, the timeline of the shutdown, and the national response. We'll trace the events minute by minute, revealing how a single point of failure can threaten an entire nation's security and economy. We'll explore possible causes, whether technical failure or a coordinated threat, and what this event reveals about America's infrastructure vulnerabilities. The lessons learned here could shape the future of aviation security and emergency preparedness. The silence in Alaska was just the beginning. What happened next would test the limits of technology, resilience, and the nation's ability to respond to the unexpected. Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport isn't just a regional hub, it's a global crossroads playing a pivotal role in connecting continents and economies. Nestled in Alaska, this airport serves as a vital link between North America and Asia, making it far more significant than its remote location might suggest. Within 10 hours flight of 90% of the industrialized world, Anchorage is uniquely positioned to serve as a bridge for international commerce. It's the fourth busiest cargo airport globally, handling more cargo than many airports in much larger cities. This strategic location allows airlines to optimize routes, save fuel, and reduce transit times for goods moving between continents. Major logistics companies like FedEx, UPS, and DHL rely on Anchorage as a critical refueling and sorting point between Asia and North America. Every day, dozens of wide-body cargo jets touch down here, transferring everything from electronics and pharmaceuticals to fresh produce and machinery, ensuring shelves stay stocked and industries keep running. If the airport were to close, it would sever a primary artery of the global supply chain. The impact would be immediate and severe, with economic consequences rippling across continents. Factories could halt production, Retailers might face shortages, and prices could spike worldwide. Anchorage's runways are also shared with Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, home to key U.S. military assets, and NORAD's first line of defense. This dual-use facility is crucial for national security, enabling rapid military deployment and constant vigilance over the northern approaches to North America. Beyond its global and military roles, the airport is Alaska's lifeline. It connects remote communities, many inaccessible by road, to essential goods, food, and medical care. For thousands of Alaskans, Anchorage is the gateway to survival, especially during harsh winters or emergencies. On a typical day, ANC handles over 500 aircraft operations and moves millions of tons of cargo. The airport operates around the clock, orchestrating a complex ballet of arrivals, departures, and cargo transfers that keep the world's supply chains humming. Its economic impact is massive, over $2 billion annually, supporting 1 in 10 Anchorage jobs. The airport fuels local businesses, creates thousands of jobs, and generates tax revenue that supports public services throughout the region. When ANC goes dark, the effects are felt far beyond Alaska. The result is national economic disruption, increased military risk, and a potential humanitarian crisis for isolated communities. Anchorage International isn't just an airport, it's a linchpin in the world's logistics, defense, and survival networks. At precisely 4:17 a.m., Anchorage's main power grid failed without warning, plunging the entire city into a total blackout. The city's heartbeat, its airport, was suddenly silenced, its runways and terminals swallowed by darkness. For a city so dependent on air travel, this was more than an inconvenience. It was a crisis in the making. Backup generators, designed as a last line of defense, failed to activate. The control tower, the nerve center of airport operations, went dark. Runways and terminals, usually alive with activity, became eerily silent and empty, shrouded in pitch black. In the skies above, a Cathay Pacific cargo flight on final approach reported the unthinkable. No runway lights in sight. With no safe way to land, the crew was forced to divert, setting off a chain reaction of confusion and concern among pilots and air traffic controllers alike. The FAA responded swiftly, issuing a ground stop for all flights in and out of Anchorage. Suddenly, the airport's departure boards lit up with delays and cancellations, stranding thousands of travelers. Planes already en route were hastily rerouted to Fairbanks and Seattle. These smaller airports, unprepared for the sudden influx, quickly became overwhelmed, with terminals packed and resources stretched thin. By 6 a.m., the scale of the crisis was undeniable. National agencies convened emergency meetings, and military commanders activated contingency plans, bracing for the possibility of a prolonged disruption. With navigation systems and lighting offline, military operations at the airfield were brought to a standstill. Aircraft remained grounded and personnel could only wait, unable to act without power. Meanwhile, airport technicians worked tirelessly in the darkness, using only flashlights to inspect power panels and troubleshoot the mysterious dual failure. Every minute without answers increased the pressure. After 7 tense hours, a mobile power unit finally arrived. Technicians managed to restore partial power to one runway and the control tower, allowing for the most basic operations to resume. Limited operations resumed, but the backlog was immense. Passengers faced long lines, confusion, and uncertainty, as airlines struggled to rebook flights and clear the mounting congestion. The day ended in chaos, with scenes of confusion and frustration dominating the airport. News headlines captured the scale of the disruption, warning that the ripple effects would take weeks, if not longer, to fully resolve. Anchorage's shutdown triggered national security protocols. The Department of Homeland Security's National Operations Center alerted the Pentagon, FBI, and White House. Aviation is critical infrastructure. A prolonged outage at ANC demanded a federal response. TSA increased security at other major airports, assuming a potential threat until proven otherwise. The Department of Defense and NORAD were briefed, concerned about both immediate readiness and the possibility of a coordinated attack. Logistics giants like FedEx and UPS scrambled to reroute fleets, their disruptions monitored by government agencies. The silence in Alaska echoed loudly across public and private alert systems worldwide. Investigators first considered extreme weather. A rare Arctic storm collided with the Pacific system, creating severe icing and powerful winds. Freezing rain coated power lines and equipment, possibly snapping transmission lines and blocking generator components. Data confirmed perfect conditions for ice accumulation. Yet, Anchorage's infrastructure is built for cold. Simultaneous failure of both power systems was still highly unusual. Weather was a factor, but investigators suspected deeper vulnerabilities. Attention turned to the airport's technical systems. Both the main grid and backup generators failed. Was there a common point of failure? Investigators focused on the automatic transfer switch, the brain of the emergency system. Maintenance records and system logs were scrutinized for missed issues or patterns. A software glitch in the SCADA control system was also considered, requiring deep forensic analysis. The technical investigation was a painstaking process of elimination. Security agencies couldn't rule out sabotage or cyber attack. The FBI and CISA launched a digital forensic sweep, searching for signs of hacking or malware in the airport's control systems. Surveillance footage and physical inspections checked for tampering or unauthorized access. Intelligence agencies cross-referenced the outage with global threats and adversary tactics. No immediate evidence of attack emerged, but the investigation remained open on all fronts. The possibility of a deliberate act demanded caution. Only definitive evidence could close the case. The stakes, national security, commerce, and public trust, were too high for assumptions. Every angle had to be exhausted. The 7-hour closure sent shockwaves through the global economy. Hundreds of flights were delayed, diverted, or canceled, costing over $50 million in a single day. Supply chains broke down, factories waited for parts, perishable goods spoiled, and Alaska's fishing industry suffered. Remote communities lost access to essentials, highlighting their dependence on Anchorage. Clearing the backlog took days, airlines scrambled to reposition crews and planes. The event forced a nationwide review of airport contingency plans. The cost of failure was now clear to policymakers and industry leaders. The silence in Alaska would echo in economic reports for months. The investigation found a perfect storm: severe icing down transmission lines, but a corroded transfer switch, missed in maintenance, kept backup generators offline. No evidence of attack, but the crisis exposed the gap between redundancy and true resilience. The lesson: emergency systems must be tested under real-world conditions, not just in isolation. A single failure in a remote airport rippled through global commerce and national security. The FAA and Homeland Security launched a nationwide review of emergency power systems. Anchorage invested in a new independent tertiary backup. The incident was a wake-up call. Infrastructure is national security. As threats evolve, true resilience means preparing for the unknown.